How everybody doing this morning? This your boy Bless the Best, coming at you once again with a purpose this morning. Okay. Over the weekend, a video that I made maybe a month ago and uploaded to YouTube, where I had some questions for this guy, Mr. Dane Calloway. Right now, he's the leading voice out there right now, pushing that African Americans, black people, whatever you want to call it, did not descend from Africa. His premise is that we own this land because we was here first. We was here before the first European settlers got here and claimed the land. And you know, because of our education system in America, it's widely believed that the black people in America came over with the Atlantic slave trade from Africa. You know, it's just a widely held belief that's never really been widely challenged, right? So, a couple of years ago, I started seeing Dane Calloway's videos pop up, and I noticed it was always absurd claims, in my opinion. You know what I mean? It would be titles like, "Your history was told to you in reverse," and "Harriet Tubman was created by the U.S. Congress. Nat Turner never existed. He was created by the U.S. Congress." And okay, when he says words like Congress, he's going with the older meaning, the meaning of the word at the time. And basically, a Congress is anytime a group of people get together to discuss things and make laws and decisions and stuff like that. I learned that from you, Mr. Calloway. Okay, so saying all of these events and icons was made up by Congress, and none of it is really true. Mind-blowing information if you are black and you grew up in America. Okay, everybody has heard similar stories growing up. You know what I mean? You might know somebody that be like, yeah, you know what I mean, my grandmother was a Cherokee Indian or this and that. And I basically dismissed it growing up because I noticed that this particular phenotype, you know, black people with straighter hair or like big curly hair, they would always say that, you know, I got the Indian in my family. And now, before I get too far into it, some of what he says checks out as being true. But in my opinion, Mr. Calloway masters mixing lies with the truth. I talked about it in an earlier video that had nothing to do with Mr. Calloway, but I was talking about how these people, they would give you two verifiable facts. And in between those two verifiable facts, they will insert a lie, a half-truth, or a speculation. And the mind lumps it all together as true on the subconscious level. And he's really good at that. He'll give you some facts that you're already aware of. Okay. The next thing that I've noticed about Mr. Calloway and some of his followers, you know what I mean, I've engaged with them in the comments of that video, man. I had that video was the furthest thing from my mind. You know, I was moving forward on some other shit, but the video went crazy over the weekend because one of Dane Calloway's followers shared the video on his Facebook page, and I feel like that's where all this traffic is coming from. So I had several debates with them over the weekend. I learned some things, you know what I mean, and I stood firm on some things. And I feel like Dane Calloway mixes lies with the truth, and he walks you all the way up to the door of discovery, and then he abandons you under the premise of, now you got to do your own research. So last night, I sat down. I'm like, man, look, this dude might be on to something, and if he is, I should put aside the fact that I think he's a weirdo, and really separate the man from the information. You know what I mean? That's what I preach on my channel, separating the man from the information. So I came down to the fact that he wants to be different, sensational, and he said his mission is, I'm just here to make you think. Mission accomplished, Mr. Calloway. You really did that. But when I think, you know what I mean, I formulate a lot of questions, you know what I mean? I want to tie up loose ends. Okay, so this video that I watched last night, it was called How to Build a Nation, Part 1 and Part 2. I sat down and watched both of them. Okay, the true information that he brings in these two videos is things that you already know or already should know. If you visit these conscious channels and that's the kind of stuff that you do with your time, you should already know that most of American history is lies. You should already know that the United States is a corporation, that they made everything up, that they made up the whole government. We already know that. That's not groundbreaking information. And he wants to convince the people that black empowerment, liberation, and freedom is something that can be gained through a paperwork process. That's where I get out the car at, Mr. Calloway. Hey man, I'm pretty sure there is a percentage of the black people that we see walking around in America are direct descendants of natives that was here before the Europeans came. My first exposure to it was from maybe a weird source, but Old Dirty Bastard from Wu-Tang used to talk about that. He said he was a descendant of the original owners of Manhattan, New York, and they said that the word Manhattan is a native word. So you know, I got exposed to that through him. But Mr. Calloway, you telling my people that getting free and prospering is a paperwork process. Okay, he lays out in his mind the steps for making your own country, and he uses semantics a lot. But okay, you armed with the information and your proof at who originally owned the land. Who do you take the proof to? Do you take it to Congress? Do you take it to the United Nations? Now, I feel like just say the black nation is a car, right? And somebody flattened all 4 tires so the car wouldn't run. So the person that put the tires on flat is not gonna be the one to fix the tires. You're gonna get pushback when you go to the court in the United States about something underhanded that they did wrong. You know what I mean? And I do respect one thing. I haven't heard him say it directly, but it seems like he's laying out a road to reparations. I'm with that. Good job on that. But where is your force at? Where's your force? Who is gonna make these people comply to the treaty or the agreement or whatever when they never have? They've broken every treaty that they ever signed. That's facts. Who's gonna enforce it? And okay, just say for instance, we build this nation, right? We build this nation and it starts to prosper. We independent and we lead. Okay, in the period of Reconstruction, right after slavery, when black people started to build on their own, I agree that was the most prosperous time, because when we left the plantations with the skills to run a plantation, with the skills to produce goods and stuff like that. And because of segregation, we were forced to do business with each other and we prospered. Okay, what happened? What derailed that? What derailed that was white supremacy. That's what derailed that. You know what derailed that? Power, guns, threats, intimidation. That's what derailed that. So, all the way from Black Wall Street to hundreds of towns all across this country that were defrauded, devalued, you name it. What is going to stop the same thing from happening now? He telling you that you go through this paperwork process, you free. That's it. Good living from then on. No, no, no. As long as we are on this land right here, this land that is owned and operated by this white supremacist government that will never work. You need military power. You gotta shed some fucking blood for freedom. You gotta shed some blood, whether you outsource it and the blood costs you money, or whether you put together your people and y'all get it in. But see, that's what I want him to tell me. At the end of the day, after everybody get their paperwork together and get their mind right, is you gonna have to go nose to nose with the white supremacists. There ain't no way around that shit. You cannot paperwork your way out of that. And okay, now I'm gonna get to my second part. Now, I wouldn't say shit if he could prove these points without disrespecting the few icons that black Americans, especially black Americans from the South, have. Okay, is Superman real, or is Superman made up? Is G.I. Joe real, or is G.I. Joe made up? See, one thing that the dominant society got right is they real sensitive about their symbols and icons, because symbols and icons, they unite, they inspire. You know what I'm saying? People draw strength from their icons. Man, I was in college. First time I heard about Nat Turner, because you know, in school, it was nothing in the curriculum about slaves fighting back. And the Nat Turner story inspired me to want to fight back and want to be revolutionary on that level. The Harriet Tubman story inspired me. My great grandmother, Mary Lee Clanton, she was born in Augusta, Georgia in 1906. And she lived to be 102 years old, right there in the house with my grandmother. Growing up as a little boy, I had a chance to talk to my great grandmother. And when I see the picture of Harriet Tubman sitting in the chair with her cane and that look in her eyes like, I will fuck one of you motherfuckers up from this goddamn chair if I got to. That kind of spirit was the same spirit that I saw in my great grandmother's eyes. Dane Calloway, find a way to get your point across without disrespecting or foundational black icons in this country, Dane. If you do that, you'll get less pushback, and people will be more receptive to what you're saying. A lot of the things that he said about building your own country, it's in the same family with the sovereign citizen movement that was mostly popularized by white supremacists, survivalists, those kind of people. Also, ironically, Brother Polite used to push something similar that has been proven to be total scam. We all remember Corin Gaines, a black girl. She got killed by the cops, I think somewhere up around Maryland or something like that. And she was standing on her sovereignty, and she's not bound by this government, all this and that. And you know, guess what happened? They went straight to her house and killed her right in front of her 5-year-old son. So that's how far that sovereignty shit take you, without no fucking bite behind it, without some fucking guns and some fucking men who ain't talking no semantics, none of that shit. They riding on your ass if you on the other side. See, that's what it's gonna take. You can go and take something, but that only goes as far as your ability to hold and defend it. What's stopping the white man from saying, you know what, Dane? You right. But fuck your motherfucking paperwork. Throw that shit in the trash. We ain't bound by that shit. We ain't bound by that. What's the next move? What's the next move then? The next move then is that Pan-African militant. I ain't talking about hands up, don't shoot. I ain't talking about that shit. But listen, summer of 2020 taught me that when it's fire up under your ass, you will move. If you don't have the ability to put fire under their ass, you just talking. Just like you say, all the Pan-Africans just talking. No, if you don't have the will and the means to put fire under their ass, You ain't talking about shit. Black Panthers, Pan-Africans, whatever you want to call it. It's a fist. It's a fist in the symbolism. And the reason that it's a fist in the symbolism mean that it's a fist behind the demand. A demand ain't shit without or else. That's what I got to say to you, Mr. Calloway. And okay, I've done I won't say extensive research, because it didn't take extensive research for me to prove that Africans were brought to this country as slaves. They were brought to this country to work for free to help support this country. Now, I don't know the numbers, right? The numbers just naturally, if it's people already in a place, it's hard to bring another group of people, and it end up being more of the other group than the original group. So just by that alone, the numbers are on your side. I don't know the exact number of slaves brought to this country. No fucking body knows. Nobody knows the exact number, because they got here, they had kids, the kids went here, there, mixed with natives, all of that. But you cannot truthfully say that all of us was still here, was already here. You can't say that. And to debunk yourself, the oldest human life started in Africa. And it was melanated people, black people, that looked like me. So, if that's the case, then the people, the Native Americans, the people that are indigenous to Turtle Island, had to have migrated from Africa at some point prior to the slave trade. Correct? Or that's a widely held belief. I guess everything. Mr. Calloway, respectfully, your plans are vague and not practical. Your vague plans attracts cowards, because cowards like lawyers and restraining orders and paperwork. You know what I mean? Hey man, this is gonna get dirty. This is gonna get dirty. Power is always taken. It's never given over. So go back and rethink that part of the plan before you start alienating the heart of the movement. And Mr. Calloway and all like-minded people, I'm just gonna close with this. At the end of the day, while my research is ongoing, I'm gonna have to go with the great master teacher, Dr. John Henry Clark, over Dane Calloway for now. Maybe I'll discover something that changes my mind. But right now, it's a no for me. I'm just here to make you think, Mr. Calloway.